The NBA offseason has officially started, and multiple reports are already coming in detailing the Knicks' trade plans, which indicate that New York plans to make a massive trade happen this summer. We're going to break down these latest reports and potentially what players the Knicks are looking to target this offseason. We're going to break down all of this and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks are planning to make a major trade this summer. That didn't take long at all. Last night, the Boston Celtics beat the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals and took home the NBA championship. And because of that, we are now firmly in the offseason. The Knicks can look at their free agents. They can re-sign them. They can also look at some players that they can extend and think to themselves, do they want to extend these players at this point in time? I'm looking at Jalen Brunson, and of course, I'm looking at Julius Randle. Among all of those important decisions that the Knicks have to make, they're also looking at potential stars that they can trade for this offseason. The reports are already flying in, and they indicate the following. Shout out to Fred Katz of The Athletic for giving us the following information. As you see here, they state, The Athletic has previously reported the Knicks are targeting this upcoming summer as the time to make the trade for the next star. If no one worthwhile presents themselves, they will turn their eyes to the 2025 trade deadline. Another reason it's important to understand why the Knicks need to trade for a star, either this offseason or by the trade deadline of 2025, is the following. Finances limit the team's options in 2025 and 2026. That means that the Knicks' best chances to trade for a star is right now, this offseason, or potentially, if nobody's available, the trade deadline of next season. But that's the best time for the Knicks to trade for a star. If they wait beyond that point in time, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to be able to pull off that star trade. That's why the Knicks need to utilize all of their assets to go out there and get a star this offseason. But that begs the question, what star player could potentially be available and what stars are the Knicks looking to go after? Shout out to Fred Katz of The Athletic for giving us the following information. According to him, Devin Booker, if Phoenix ever chose to trade him, would become the obvious name for the Knicks. He's a CAA client, a member of the same agency that Knicks president Leon Rose once ran. Do I think Devin Booker is going to be available for a trade this offseason? No, I don't believe that. I don't think it's realistic. Not because Devin Booker wouldn't want to come to New York, but it's a few factors here. Number one, Booker suffers from the Mamba mentality. That means he wants to start and end his career with only one franchise like his idol, Kobe Bryant. I can't knock him for that. But it's also because of the Suns' owner. He has no choice at this point in time. He has to double down on what he has and try to build around it. That means Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, their quote-unquote big three is there to stay. They're going to try to build around them. However, I think it's very interesting to note what Fred Katz just stated about Devin Booker and potentially the Knicks' interest. Let's put aside the fact that he mentioned Devin Booker. He mentioned a few other things as well, too. He mentioned CAA client. He mentioned the fact that the Knicks are looking for a star-level player at the level of Devin Booker. If that's the case, then that tells you the level of players, the level of stars that the Knicks are looking to trade for this offseason. They're looking for players that have a major impact, that can help this Knicks team move on to the next step and be a legit NBA Finals contender each and every year. If you're able to add Devin Booker to this team without having to give up the farm to get him, that's exactly what you're building in New York. That's what Leon Rose wants to do. Besides the fact that it's Devin Booker we're talking about, regardless of the fact if he's going to be available or not for a trade, you have to understand exactly what Katz is saying here. He's saying that the Knicks are looking for somebody who's a CAA client, who's the level of player, the level of superstar to Devin Booker, and somebody that has a connection to Leon Rose and this Knicks organization. If that level of player is available, it's clear and obvious to Fred Katz's point that the Knicks would pounce on that player and try to trade for that player and get him on this team. But Devin Booker isn't the only player that Fred Katz named in a recent article that he wrote. He also mentioned a couple of other players that potentially the Knicks could target this offseason. As you can see here, Paul George is another name that Fred Katz brings up. According to him, George can become a free agent this summer, but acquiring him for the Knicks would be complicated. According to Katz, the Knicks don't have the cap space to do so, and because the Clippers are so expensive and above the second apron, new rules prevent them from signing and trading him. New York's only avenue to acquire George would be for him to opt into his $48.8 million player option for the 2024-2025 season. Then have LA work out a trade. The Knicks have kicked George's name around before, but they never seriously pursued him in a deal, according to Katz. And that is music to my ears. Skill set wise, I can understand why some people may want to add Paul George, but in terms of his age, and regardless of what last season said, that one outlier, he normally misses a lot of games. He is normally injury prone, and he has a very bad injury history. Playing for the Knicks under head coach Tom Thibodeau, is that going to get better or is it going to get worse? Because in my opinion, it's going to get worse. And we don't need a player like that on this team right now. I am so happy to hear that Fred Katz reported that the Knicks never seriously thought about adding Paul George to this team, because that makes all the sense in the world to me. PG-13 does not elevate this team to a championship contender. There is no way he does that. Does he do it for the Clippers? In my opinion, he doesn't. So why would he do it for the Knicks? It just doesn't make sense. I would never make this move happen. And clearly, given the new rules, it's very difficult for the Knicks to go out and get Paul George. He would have to opt into his contract for this season. And clearly, he has no intention of doing so. Paul George is going to look for a new contract. And because of that, the Knicks are safe and they don't have to worry about Paul George or that play coming to the Knicks, because I've mentioned it time and time again. Maybe a few years ago, he was a good fit for this team. But today, right now, he's not, especially given the amount he's going to want in terms of a contract extension. I'm good on PG-13. And of course, we couldn't mention the Knicks and star trades without talking about Karl Anthony Towns. And that's exactly what Fred Katz did here. According to Katz, the Knicks have always had an eye on Towns, though this front office has never engaged in a serious trade negotiation for him. He's a CAA client, one of the most skilled offensive bigs ever to touch a basketball. And though he had a complicated relationship with Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau back when Thibodeau coached him in Minnesota, there are people around the coach who believe the two have reconciled and would work well together now. Though you never know until you see it in person. After the season we just had, the Knicks are in a position where they can wait, remain patient, and add the right star. The right star is key here, because if the Knicks give up the farm for the wrong star, somebody who doesn't push the needle the right way, who won't make us a championship contender each and every year, the Knicks are going to find it very hard and difficult to recover from that move. We took so long and waited so many seasons to get here, get all of the assets that we have at this point in time, build the roster that we have right now, which when healthy could potentially go all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals and give the Boston Celtics a run for their money. We make the right additions, we could go all the way to the NBA Finals. Karl Anthony Towns is not the right fit. He gets paid like a superstar and doesn't play like one. He doesn't even shoot like a superstar when the games matter the most. Yes, is he skilled as a big man? Of course he is. Could he help the Knicks stretch the floor? Of course he could. But when the games matter the most, when we're in the postseason and we need him to make a shot, make a big bucket, will he be able to do that? Or will he fold, fail, and falter? Well, let's take a look at the tape. Let's take a look at history. Before Ant-Man got there, the Minnesota Timberwolves were trying to build around who? Karl Anthony Towns. How did that work out? Didn't work out well. And even this year, even though he did well with Ant-Man being the lead, they have to pay a lot of people in Minnesota. Will they pay Cat? That's the main question right now. Regardless if they do or not, the Knicks should not go over there and try to trade for Towns. He is not worth it. He is not the right star player for this team. He is not the right fit for this team, and he will not help this Knicks team get better. He will limit what this Knicks team can do, and in my opinion, if the Knicks trade for Cat, it will be one of the worst trades they have ever made in franchise history. He just is not the right player for this team, this culture, and what we're trying to build. He wasn't the right player for Minnesota when they were trying to do it, and he's not going to be the right player for the Knicks as we try to do it. The Cat ship has sailed. It doesn't make sense for the Knicks to go after him now, especially when that Supermax contract is about to kick in. He's about to start making $54 million. The Knicks don't want to be anywhere near that contract or that player. They should wait, be patient, and wait for that disgruntled star list to come out and see what potential players are available and what players they want on that list. And then, depending on cost, pounce on that player and try to get that star on this team. We do need another star on this team. I don't want to get away from that. And the Knicks have the right mindset. Going after a superstar or a star player this offseason or by the trade deadline of next season, that's the smart move. But making the trade for the right star is also the smart move. We don't know what players are potentially going to be available. But from all the players we just read and understand that the Knicks potentially could have some interest in and could trade for, it tells us one thing absolutely. The Knicks are not looking for a role player. They're looking to make a major trade happen this summer, and they're looking at the very least for an all-star level player, if not a superstar level player, because they understand they need another player like that to make this Knicks team an NBA championship contender each and every year. I trust in this Knicks front office. I trust in Leon Rose, and I know this offseason they're going to make the right moves to make this Knicks team a better team moving forward. But what about you guys? What do you think about the Knicks and Leon Rose potentially targeting this summer as the time to make a major trade happen? And what stars do you want the Knicks to go after? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, peace.